Candace Monroe counted the money one more time, her hands shaking as she spread the crumpled bills across her lap. $47. That was all she had left in the world. She stared at the eviction notice taped to her apartment door earlier that morning, the words blurring as tears threatened to fall. 3 days. She had 3 days to come up with $2,800 or she would be sleeping in her car. Except her car had broken down in the mall parking lot 20 minutes ago, smoke pouring from under the hood, and the mechanic's estimate was $1,200 she didn't have. The January afternoon sun beat down on the windshield, making the interior of her old Honda unbearably hot. Candace's bright green blouse stuck to her back, damp with sweat and desperation. She had just come from her last day of work at the call center, where they'd let her go due to budget cuts. No severance. No notice. Just a cardboard box with her coffee mug and a cactus plant that was already dying. She looked at herself in the rearview mirror. Her reflection showed a 28-year-old woman who looked much older, with dark circles under her brown eyes and hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. When had she started looking so tired? When had life become this hard? Candace grabbed her purse and the eviction notice, shoving both into her worn tote bag. She couldn't sit in this parking lot forever. The mall security would eventually ask her to move, and she couldn't explain that her car was dead and she had nowhere else to go. She needed to think. She needed a plan. The cool air conditioning of the mall hit her like a blessing as she pushed through the glass doors. People walked past her carrying shopping bags, laughing with friends, sipping expensive coffee drinks. Nobody looked at her twice. She was invisible, just another face in the crowd, except she was drowning while everyone else seemed to be floating just fine. Her stomach growled, reminding her that she'd skipped lunch to save money. The pretzel stand nearby sent warm, salty scents through the air, making her mouth water. But a pretzel cost $6 and she needed every penny. Instead, she headed toward the restrooms, where she could at least wash her face and try to look presentable. The bathroom was empty, thankfully. Candace splashed cold water on her face and stared at herself in the mirror again. "You've been through worse," she whispered to her reflection. "You can figure this out." But had she been through worse? Her parents had died in a car accident when she was 19, leaving her to raise her younger brother, Tyler, who was now 20 and in college across the country. She'd worked 3 jobs to put him through school, sacrificing everything for his future. She'd never asked him for help because she wanted him to focus on his studies, to have the life she'd never gotten. And now here she was, nearly 30, with nothing to show for her sacrifices but an eviction notice and a broken car. Candace dried her face with a paper towel and straightened her shoulders. She wouldn't give up. She would walk through this mall and fill out job applications at every store. Someone had to be hiring. She could start tomorrow if they'd let her. She was a hard worker, reliable, honest. That had to count for something. The mall directory showed 23 stores currently hiring. Candace pulled out a pen and a crumpled receipt, making a list. She would start at the north end and work her way south. Retail, food service, anything. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. The first store was a clothing boutique with mannequins in the window wearing dresses that cost more than her rent. The manager took her application with a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We'll call you if something opens up." The second store sold athletic shoes. The teenage employee barely looked at her application before setting it in a pile with dozens of others. "We're not really hiring right now, but we keep applications on file." By the 5th store, Candace's hope was fading. By the 10th, her feet hurt and her smile felt plastic. By the 15th, she wanted to sit down and cry. She found a bench near the fountain and collapsed onto it, her tote bag falling to the floor beside her. The fountain bubbled cheerfully, children throwing pennies and making wishes. Candace remembered doing that as a child, believing that a penny and a wish could make magic happen. Now she knew better. Magic didn't exist. There was only work and luck, and she seemed to be running out of both. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from the electric company. Final notice before disconnection. Another bill she couldn't pay. She turned off her phone to save the battery. It was almost dead anyway and she couldn't afford to pay the bill this month. "Excuse me, miss? Are you okay?" Candace looked up to see a security guard, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a concerned expression. She quickly wiped her face, not realizing she'd started crying. "I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Just resting." "You've been walking around for over 2 hours," he said gently. "I noticed. Are you looking for something specific? Maybe I can help." The kindness in his voice almost broke her. She wanted to tell him everything. That she was homeless in 3 days. That her car was dead in the parking lot. That she had $47 and no plan. But instead she just shook her head. "I'm job hunting," she said. "Just filling out applications." He nodded sympathetically. "Tough economy right now. But keep trying. Something will come through." She thanked him and watched him walk away, his words echoing in her mind. Something will come through. She had to believe that. She had to. Candace picked up her bag and stood, her legs protesting. She had 8 more stores on her list. She would finish what she started. That's what she did. She finished things no matter how hard they got. The bookstore near the south entrance had a help wanted sign in the window. Candace's heart lifted slightly. Books had always been her escape, her comfort. Working in a bookstore wouldn't pay enough to catch up on rent, but it would be something. A start. She pushed open the door, the smell of paper and coffee greeting her. The store was busy with afternoon shoppers, people browsing shelves and reading in comfortable chairs. A young woman at the counter looked up with a genuine smile. "Welcome to Chapter and Verse. Can I help you find something?" "I saw your hiring sign," Candace said, approaching the counter. "I'd like to apply." The woman's smile faltered slightly. "Oh, I'm sorry. We actually just filled that position this morning. I forgot to take down the sign. But you can leave an application and if something opens up." Candace nodded, taking the application even though she knew it would join the stack of forgotten papers in some back office. She filled it out anyway, her handwriting neat despite her shaking hands. When she handed it back, the young woman looked at her with pity. "Good luck," she said softly. Candace walked out of the bookstore and stood in the wide corridor of the mall, people streaming past her in both directions. She looked at her list. 7 more stores. She could do 7 more. But first she needed to sit down again. Just for a minute. Just to catch her breath and remember why she was doing this. For Tyler. For her future. For the chance that tomorrow might be better than today. She found another bench, this one near the children's play area where toddlers climbed on colorful structures while their parents watched. The sound of children's laughter filled the air, innocent and joyful. Candace closed her eyes and let the sound wash over her, a brief moment of peace in the chaos of her life. When she opened her eyes, she noticed a little girl standing in front of her. The child couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with dark curly hair and bright brown eyes. She wore a beautiful blue dress with white flowers, clearly expensive, and shiny black shoes. She was staring at Candace with an intensity that was both curious and unnerving. "Hello," Candace said, looking around for the child's parent. "Are you lost?" The little girl shook her head slowly, still staring. "You're sad." It wasn't a question. Candace's throat tightened. "I'm okay, sweetheart. Where's your mommy or daddy?" "My daddy's in the restaurant," the girl said, pointing vaguely toward the upper level. "But I saw you and I had to come talk to you." "You should get back to your dad," Candace said gently. "He's probably looking for you." "Not yet," the girl said, moving closer. "I need to ask you something important. Have you ever been so close to losing everything that even a stranger's kindness could break you?" Candace's story is just beginning, and what happens next will change her life forever. If you're feeling this story, please subscribe and let me know in the comments what you would do in Candace's situation. Your support means everything. Candace looked at the little girl more carefully now, noticing the expensive quality of her dress, the perfectly styled hair, the confidence in her posture despite her young age. This was a child who was loved and cared for, someone who had never known hunger or fear or the sick feeling of an eviction notice. "What do you need to ask me?" Candace said, glancing around again for a frantic parent. The play area was busy, but no one seemed to be looking for a missing child. The little girl sat down on the bench next to her, swinging her legs. "Do you like pasta?" Candace blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Pasta. Do you like it?" "Because my daddy makes really good spaghetti with meatballs, and he says you can tell a lot about a person by whether they like pasta." This was the strangest conversation Candace had ever had. "I like pasta just fine, but sweetie, you really should get back to your dad." "What about bedtime stories? Do you read bedtime stories?" "Sometimes," Candace said, completely confused now. "Why are you asking me this?" The little girl turned to face her fully, her expression serious beyond her years. "Because I think you would be perfect for my daddy." Candace's mouth fell open. She didn't know whether to laugh or be concerned. "I think there's been some confusion, honey. I'm just sitting here resting. I don't know your daddy." "But you could," the girl said brightly. "That's why I came to find you. I've been watching people all day and you're the one." "The one for what?" "To make my daddy happy again." The girl's voice dropped to a whisper. "He's been sad for a really long time. Since my mommy went to heaven. And I think you could make him smile." Candace's heart squeezed painfully. This poor child. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry about your mommy. But I don't think. Can you braid hair? The girl interrupted. My daddy tries, but he's not very good at it. My hair gets all tangled and he says bad words under his breath. Despite everything, Candace smiled. Yes, I can braid hair. And do you like gardens? We have a really big garden with roses and a fountain and sometimes birds. Do you like birds? I do like birds, Candace admitted. Perfect. The girl hopped off the bench and grabbed Candace's hand. You have to come meet him now. Wait, no, Candace said, gently pulling her hand back. I can't just go meet your father. He doesn't know me. He'll think I'm strange. He won't think you're strange. He'll think you're nice. You have a nice face. Candace felt her eyes burning again. When was the last time someone had said something kind to her? That's sweet of you to say, but really I should go. I have things to do. The girl's face fell and for a moment she looked like she might cry. Please? Just come meet him? He's having lunch in the restaurant upstairs and he said I could have ice cream after and you could have ice cream too. Do you like ice cream? Everyone likes ice cream, Candace said softly. But your daddy might not want a stranger joining you. He won't mind. He's always telling me to make new friends. The girl grabbed her hand again, more insistently this time. Please? I promise he's really nice. And he won't be mad. He never gets mad at me. Candace looked into those hopeful brown eyes and felt something crack inside her chest. This child had lost her mother. She was clearly lonely, searching for something she couldn't name. And Candace, who had nothing left to lose, couldn't find it in herself to disappoint a grieving 6-year-old. Okay, she said slowly. I'll come meet your dad. But just for a minute and then I really do have to go. The girl's face lit up like sunshine. Really? You promise? I promise. My name is Bella, the girl said, pulling her toward the escalator. Bella Romano. What's your name? Candace Monroe. That's a pretty name. Miss Candace. I'm going to call you Miss Candace. Is that okay? That's fine, Bella. They rode the escalator to the second floor, Bella chattering the entire time about her school, her teacher, her best friend who moved away, her goldfish named Bubbles. Candace listened, asking questions when appropriate, marveling at the way children could find joy in the smallest things. The restaurant Bella led her to was upscale, with white tablecloths and waiters in black vests. Candace felt immediately out of place in her wrinkled green blouse and old khaki pants. She almost turned around, but Bella had a firm grip on her hand. There he is, Bella said, pointing to a table near the window. Candace's breath caught. The man sitting at the table was younger than she expected, maybe early 30s, with dark hair and strong features. He wore a maroon button-down shirt that probably cost more than her car payment, and he was looking at his phone with a focused expression. Everything about him screamed money and success, from his expensive watch to the leather portfolio on the table. This was a terrible idea. Daddy, Bella called out, dragging Candace toward the table. The man looked up, his expression shifting from concentration to surprise to something close to alarm when he saw Candace being pulled along by his daughter. Bella, what are you doing? I thought you were in the bathroom. I found someone for you, Bella announced proudly, pulling Candace forward. This is Miss Candace and she likes pasta and bedtime stories and she can braid hair and she has a nice face. The man stood up quickly, embarrassment coloring his features. I am so sorry, he said to Candace. My daughter has a very active imagination and she sometimes. He paused, clearly searching for words. Bella, you can't just bring strangers to our table. But Daddy, she's perfect, Bella insisted. I'm really sorry, Candace said quickly, her face burning. She asked me to meet you and I tried to explain that you probably didn't want to be bothered, but she was very persuasive. The man's expression softened slightly. That she is. He looked down at his daughter. Bella, apologize to this nice lady and let her get back to her day. But I want her to have lunch with us, Bella said, her lower lip trembling. Please, Daddy? She looks hungry. Candace wanted to disappear. She wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. Because Bella was right. She was hungry. She looked hungry. This successful, put-together man could see exactly what she was. Broke, desperate, and pathetic. I should go, she said, taking a step back. It was nice meeting you both. But as she turned to leave, the man spoke. Wait. Candace stopped, not turning around. When was the last time you ate? The question was gentle, not accusatory, but it still made her want to cry. She slowly turned back to face him. I had breakfast, she lied. He studied her for a moment and she saw something shift in his eyes. Recognition maybe. Or understanding. Please, he said. Join us for lunch. It would make Bella happy and honestly I could use the company. Business lunches are boring. I don't want to impose. You're not imposing if I'm inviting you. He pulled out a chair. Please. Bella was already bouncing with excitement. Say yes, Miss Candace. Please say yes. Candace looked at the chair, at the menu on the table, at this man who was offering her kindness for no reason other than his daughter's request. Every instinct told her to refuse, to walk away, to not accept charity from strangers. But then she remembered the eviction notice. The empty refrigerator at home. The $47 in her purse. Sometimes pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. Okay, she said softly. Thank you. Bella cheered and climbed into the chair next to the one Candace sat in. The man settled back into his own seat and extended his hand across the table. Nicholas Romano, he said. And I apologize again for my daughter's matchmaking attempts. Candace shook his hand, noting the firm but gentle grip. Candace Monroe. And she's very sweet. You're lucky to have her. I know I am. Nicholas's smile was warm and genuine. Bella talks about needing a new friend at least once a week. I just didn't expect her to recruit someone at the mall. I'm very good at finding people, Bella said seriously. Miss Candace has kind eyes. A waiter approached and handed Candace a menu. She opened it and almost gasped at the prices. A simple salad was $18. The pasta dishes were $25 and up. Order anything you want, Nicholas said as if reading her thoughts. The chicken parmesan is excellent. Candace's stomach growled audibly. She pressed a hand to it, embarrassed. The house salad looks good. The salad is terrible, Nicholas said bluntly. Trust me on this. Get real food. The lasagna is incredible. Bella leaned over and whispered loudly, Daddy's right. The salad is just lettuce. Despite herself, Candace laughed. It felt strange laughing after the day she'd had. Okay. The lasagna then. When the waiter left with their orders, an awkward silence fell over the table. Candace folded her hands in her lap, acutely aware of her chipped nail polish and the worn state of her clothes. Nicholas seemed comfortable with the silence, sipping his water and glancing at his phone occasionally. Bella filled the quiet by drawing on her paper napkin with a crayon the waiter had brought. So what brings you to the mall today? Nicholas asked, his tone polite and conversational. Job hunting, Candace said, then immediately regretted being so honest. I mean, I'm looking for work. I lost my job recently. I'm sorry to hear that. What field are you in? I was working at a call center, but before that I did retail, food service, a bit of everything really. I'm not picky. Nicholas nodded thoughtfully. The job market is tough right now. How long have you been looking? About 4 hours, Candace said with a rueful smile. I just got the news this morning. That's recent. I'm sorry. Losing a job is never easy. The food arrived, and Candace had to stop herself from crying at the sight of the steaming lasagna placed in front of her. It smelled incredible and her stomach twisted with hunger. She waited until Nicholas and Bella started eating before picking up her fork. The first bite was heaven. The second made her realize how long it had been since she'd had a real meal. She forced herself to eat slowly, to not look desperate, even though she wanted to devour everything on the plate. Good? Nicholas asked, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Very good. Thank you for this. My pleasure. Bella chattered between bites of her chicken fingers, telling Candace about her school play and her pet goldfish and how her daddy's house had a pool but it was too cold to swim right now. Nicholas listened patiently, occasionally correcting minor details or asking questions. Candace watched them together and felt a pang of longing. They were clearly close despite the loss they'd experienced. Nicholas was attentive and kind, never dismissing Bella's excited rambling. He genuinely seemed to enjoy his daughter's company. Miss Candace, Bella said suddenly, do you have any kids? Bella, Nicholas said warningly. No, it's okay, Candace said. No, I don't have children. I have a younger brother though. Tyler. He's in college. Do you live with him? Candace's smile faltered. No, he's away at school. So you live alone? Bella, that's enough questions, Nicholas said firmly but gently. But Candace found herself answering anyway. Yes, I live alone. In an apartment. Well, for 3 more days anyway. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Nicholas's head snapped up, his eyes sharp. What happens in 3 days? Candace put down her fork, her appetite suddenly gone despite the half-eaten lasagna in front of her. I got an eviction notice this morning. I'm behind on rent. How far behind? She shouldn't tell him. She didn't know this man. But something about his direct gaze, his genuine concern, made her want to be honest. About 3 months. I've been struggling since my hours got cut, and then today I lost my job entirely, so... She shrugged, trying to appear casual even though her hands were shaking. I'll figure something out. I always do. Nicholas was quiet for a moment, and Candace wanted to take back everything she'd said. This was supposed to be a simple lunch, not a therapy session with a stranger. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I shouldn't have dumped all that on you. You were just being nice and I... How much do you owe? Candace blinked. What? For the back rent. How much? I can't tell you that. I mean, it's not your problem. I'll work it out. Nicholas leaned back in his chair, studying her with those intense dark eyes. Humor me. How much? $2,800, she whispered. Bella gasped. That's a lot of money. It is, Nicholas agreed, still looking at Candace. And your car? Bella mentioned you looked tired from walking. Did you walk here? My car broke down in the parking lot. But I'll get it towed somewhere eventually. How much to fix it? Candace's throat tightened. I don't know. Maybe $1,200. But honestly, it might not be worth fixing. It's old. Nicholas nodded slowly, and Candace braced herself for the pity she'd see in his eyes. Instead, she saw calculation. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly, then set it aside. Finish your lunch, he said. Then I want to talk to you about something. Candace forced herself to take another bite of lasagna, even though her stomach was now tied in knots. What did Nicholas Romano want to talk to her about? Was he going to offer her money? That would be humiliating. Or maybe he was going to suggest a shelter or a charity. That would be worse. Bella seemed oblivious to the tension, happily eating her chicken fingers and talking about a boy in her class who ate glue. Nicholas listened to his daughter, but his attention kept drifting back to Candace, his expression thoughtful. When they'd all finished eating, Nicholas ordered coffee for himself and hot chocolate for Bella. He offered Candace something, but she declined, her nerves too frayed for caffeine. Bella, Nicholas said gently, I need to talk to Miss Candace about grown-up things for a few minutes. Can you go look at the bookstore across the hall? Stay where I can see you through the window. Bella's eyes widened. Are you going to ask her to marry you? Bella. Because you should. She's perfect. Go to the bookstore. Now please. Bella sighed dramatically but slid off her chair. Okay, but don't let her leave. She's the one, Daddy. I know it. Once Bella was safely in the bookstore, visible through the restaurant's windows, Nicholas turned his full attention to Candace. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I want to make you an offer, he said directly. And I need you to hear me out completely before you say no. Mr. Romano. Nicholas, please. Nicholas, I appreciate the lunch, but if you're going to offer me money, I can't accept. I'm not a charity case. I'm not offering charity, he said calmly. I'm offering you a job. Candace frowned. A job? Doing what? Taking care of Bella? She blinked, certain she'd misheard. I'm sorry, what? Nicholas leaned forward, his hands clasped on the table. My daughter lost her mother 2 years ago. Cancer. It was sudden and it was brutal, and Bella has struggled ever since. I've hired 3 nannies in the past year, and none of them lasted more than a few months. Bella didn't connect with any of them. But she connected with you in 15 minutes. She's a sweet girl, Candace said carefully. But I'm not qualified to be a nanny. I don't have training or references or... You have something better. You have kindness. Bella sees that. And honestly, so do I. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I can tell you're going through a hard time. I can also tell you're proud and you don't want handouts. So this isn't a handout. This is a business arrangement. You need a job and a place to stay. I need someone who can take care of my daughter and make her happy. It's mutually beneficial. Candace's heart was racing. What exactly would this job entail? You'd live in the guest house on my property. It's a small cottage, 2 bedrooms, fully furnished. You'd be responsible for Bella when I'm working, which is most weekdays and some evenings. You'd take her to school, pick her up, help with homework, make sure she eats, all the normal things. I have a housekeeper who handles the main house and cooking most meals, so you wouldn't be responsible for that. And the salary? $5,000 a month to start, plus room and board, health insurance, and 2 weeks paid vacation. Candace's mouth went dry. $5,000? That was more than she'd made at the call center. More than she'd made at any job in her life. That's too much, she said automatically. It's the going rate for live-in care in this area. And given that you'd be on call essentially 24/7, it's actually quite reasonable. I don't know anything about being a nanny. Do you know how to feed a child? Help with homework? Read bedtime stories? Provide basic supervision? Well, yes, but then you know enough. The rest you'll learn. Bella is 6 years old, not a baby. She's in first grade. She's smart and generally well-behaved. She just needs consistency and attention and someone who actually cares about her well-being. Candace looked out the window at Bella, who was browsing books with a serious expression, occasionally holding one up to examine the cover. The little girl who had approached her less than an hour ago, insisting she was perfect for her daddy. Why me? Candace asked. You don't know anything about me. I could be anyone. True. Which is why I'd need to run a background check. But Bella is an excellent judge of character, and my gut says she's right about you. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. Think about it. That's my cell number. Call me tonight with your answer. Candace picked up the card. Nicholas Romano, CEO, Romano Industries. There was an address in an expensive part of town. What does Romano Industries do? She asked. Real estate development, primarily commercial properties. We build shopping centers, office buildings, that sort of thing. So you're very successful. I've been fortunate, yes. Candace set the card down carefully. I need to be honest with you. I'm being evicted in 3 days. My car is broken. I have less than $50 to my name. If you hire me, you'll be taking a huge risk on someone who is essentially homeless. Then it's a good thing I'll be providing housing, Nicholas said simply. You don't understand. I'm a mess right now. My life is falling apart. I don't know if I'm the right person to take care of your daughter when I can't even take care of myself. Nicholas was quiet for a moment, and when he spoke, his voice was gentle. 2 years ago, I watched my wife die slowly. I had all the money in the world and I couldn't save her. After she passed, I threw myself into work because I didn't know how to be both mother and father to a 6-year-old girl. I've been a mess too, Candace. I've just been a mess with better resources. But mess recognizes mess, and I think maybe that's what Bella needs. Someone real. Someone who understands that life is hard and you just keep going anyway. Tears pricked at Candace's eyes. She blinked them back. I'd want to start immediately. I can't go back to my apartment. They'll change the locks any day now. Done. You can move in tonight if you want. I'll have the guest house prepared. And the salary? Could I have the first month up front? I need to settle some debts. Of course. I'll have my assistant cut a check this afternoon. Candace stared at him, waiting for the catch. There was always a catch. Why are you doing this? Because my daughter has been sad for 2 years, and in the 15 minutes she spent with you, she smiled more than she has in months. Because you need help and I can provide it. Because sometimes the universe puts people in your path for a reason. He smiled. And because Bella is usually right about these things. Candace looked at the business card again, at the little girl in the bookstore, at the man across from her who was offering her a lifeline when she was drowning. She thought about her pride. About her fear. About all the reasons she should say no. Then she thought about the eviction notice. The broken car. The empty future stretching ahead of her with no solutions in sight. Sometimes you had to trust that kindness was real. Yes, she said softly. Yes, I accept. And thank you. Thank you so much. Nicholas's smile widened. Excellent. Let's go tell Bella the good news. She's going to be thrilled. They walked across to the bookstore where Bella was sitting on the floor reading a picture book. When she saw them approaching, she looked up hopefully. Miss Candace is going to be your new nanny, Nicholas announced. Bella screamed with joy and launched herself at Candace, wrapping her small arms around her waist. Really? Really and truly? Really and truly, Candace said, hugging her back. I knew it, Bella said, her voice muffled against Candace's shirt. I knew you were the one. I told Daddy, didn't I? You did, baby, Nicholas said, ruffling his daughter's hair. You were absolutely right. Bella pulled back and looked up at Candace with those big brown eyes. Are you happy? Candace felt tears sliding down her cheeks, but for the first time all day they were happy tears. Yes, sweetheart. I'm very happy. Good. Because I'm going to make you happy every day. I promise. And somehow, standing in that bookstore with a little girl hugging her and a billionaire watching with gentle eyes, Candace believed it. Nicholas made a phone call while Bella showed Candace all the books she liked. His voice was low and professional, giving instructions to someone on the other end. When he finished, he slipped the phone back into his pocket and gestured toward the exit. My assistant is preparing the guest house and getting the paperwork ready. We can head over now if you're ready. Bella, did you want that book? Bella was holding a picture book about a brave little mouse. She nodded eagerly. Can I, Daddy? Of course. Miss Candace, is there anything you need to pick up from your apartment? Candace thought about her small apartment, the few belongings she had. Most of it was second-hand furniture that came with the place. Her personal items could fit in 2 suitcases. I have some clothes and personal things. Not much. We'll arrange to have everything moved tomorrow. For tonight, I'll have my housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, set you up with toiletries and anything else you need. Mrs. Chen. Candace filed away the name, trying to remember all the details Nicholas was throwing at her. They walked through the mall together, Bella holding both Candace's and Nicholas's hands, swinging between them and chattering about all the things she wanted to show Candace at home. People glanced at them as they passed, probably seeing what looked like a happy family. The thought made Candace's chest tight. In the parking lot, Nicholas led them to a sleek black SUV. He opened the back door for Bella, then paused. Where's your car? 3 rows over, Candace said, pointing to her old Honda with the smoke-stained hood. Nicholas studied it for a moment. I'll have it towed to my mechanic. He'll assess if it's worth fixing or if you need a replacement. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. As your employer, I need you to have reliable transportation for taking Bella to school and activities. Consider it part of the job. Candace wanted to argue, but Bella was calling for her to sit in the back seat, and Nicholas was already holding the door open. She slid in next to Bella, the leather seats incredibly comfortable. The drive took about 20 minutes, taking them out of the commercial district and into an area of sprawling estates and tree-lined streets. Candace's eyes widened as they turned through iron gates and up a long driveway. The Romano estate was massive. The main house was a modern Mediterranean-style villa, all white stone and large windows, with perfectly manicured lawns and gardens stretching in every direction. Candace could see a pool in the back, covered for winter, and what looked like a tennis court beyond that. That's our house, Bella said proudly. And that's the guest house where you'll live. She pointed to a charming cottage set back among some trees, connected to the main house by a stone pathway. It looked like something from a fairy tale, with a red door and window boxes that probably held flowers in spring. Nicholas parked in the circular driveway and helped Bella out. Candace followed, feeling like she'd stepped into someone else's life. This couldn't be real. Any moment she'd wake up on that bench in the mall. Let me show you around, Nicholas said, leading her toward the guest house. Inside, the cottage was perfect. The living area had comfortable furniture in soft blues and creams, large windows letting in natural light. A small kitchen occupied one corner, updated with modern appliances. Nicholas showed her the 2 bedrooms, one with a queen bed already made up with fresh linens, the other set up as an office with a desk and bookshelves. The Wi-Fi password is on the refrigerator, he said. You have your own washer and dryer in that closet. If you need anything, just call up to the main house or text me. It's beautiful, Candace said, running her hand along the smooth countertop. I can't believe this is where I'll be living. I want you to be comfortable. This is your home now. Bella tugged on Candace's hand. Come see my room in the big house. Please? Nicholas smiled. Let's give Miss Candace a few minutes to settle in, Bella. She's had a long day. But I want to show her everything. Tomorrow, he promised. Right now, I need to take care of some paperwork with Miss Candace, and then we'll let her rest. They walked back to the main house, entering through a side door that led into a spacious office. Nicholas's desk was large and organized, with 2 monitors and a leather chair. He gestured for Candace to sit in one of the armchairs across from the desk while he pulled up some documents on his computer. I'm going to need some basic information from you, he said. Social security number, previous addresses, references if you have them. Standard employment paperwork. Candace provided the information, watching as he typed efficiently. When he finished, he printed several documents and slid them across the desk with a pen. Employment contract, he explained. Take your time reading it. It outlines your duties, salary, benefits, vacation time, and termination clauses. If you have any questions, ask. Candace read through the contract carefully. Everything he'd promised at lunch was there, spelled out in clear language. The salary was even slightly higher than he'd mentioned, $5,200 per month. She initialed each page and signed at the bottom. Nicholas countersigned and handed her a copy. Then he pulled out his checkbook and wrote out a check, sliding it across to her. Candace looked at the amount and gasped. This is for $5,200. Your first month's salary. You mentioned needing to settle debts. But I haven't even started working yet. Consider it a signing bonus. You'll start officially tomorrow morning, but I imagine you'll want to take care of your rent situation and any other pressing matters tonight or tomorrow. Candace stared at the check, her hands shaking. This small piece of paper represented salvation, food, safety, the future. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Say you'll take good care of my daughter, Nicholas said softly. That's all I need. I will. I promise. He stood and extended his hand. Welcome to the family, Candace. She shook his hand, then surprised herself by saying, Thank you for taking a chance on me. You won't regret it. I know I won't. Bella appeared in the doorway, bouncing on her toes. Are you done with the boring stuff? Can Miss Candace have dinner with us? Nicholas looked at Candace with a questioning expression. You're welcome to join us, but I understand if you'd prefer to have some time to yourself. I'd love to have dinner with you both, Candace said and meant it. Dinner was served in a beautiful dining room with a long wooden table. The housekeeper, Mrs. Chin, turned out to be a kind-faced woman in her 50s who welcomed Candace warmly and served a delicious meal of roasted chicken, vegetables, and fresh bread. Bella talked non-stop throughout dinner, telling Candace about school, her friends, her favorite TV shows. Nicholas listened patiently, occasionally asking questions or correcting Bella when she got too animated. Candace watched them together, seeing the love between father and daughter even as she noticed the sadness that sometimes crossed Nicholas's face when Bella mentioned something about her mother. After dinner, Bella begged Candace to help with her bath and bedtime routine. Nicholas agreed, showing Candace to Bella's room on the second floor. It was a child's dream space with a canopy bed, bookshelves full of stories, and toys neatly organized in bins. Candace helped Bella into her pajamas, a soft pink set with cartoon cats. Then she brushed the girl's curly hair, working out tangles gently while Bella chattered about what they would do tomorrow. Can you braid it? Bella asked. Daddy tries, but it always comes out lumpy. Sure, sweetheart. Candace's fingers moved automatically, creating a neat French braid down Bella's back. It had been years since she'd braided anyone's hair. She used to braid her brother's girlfriend's hair when they were all younger. Perfect, Bella said, examining it in the mirror. You're really good at this. Practice, Candace said with a smile. Nicholas appeared in the doorway. Time for bed, Bella? But I'm not tired. It's 8:30. School tomorrow. Bella climbed into bed with exaggerated slowness, clearly trying to delay the inevitable. Will you read me a story, Miss Candace? If that's okay with your dad. Of course, Nicholas said, settling into a chair in the corner. Candace picked up a picture book from the shelf and sat on the edge of Bella's bed. She read about a little girl who went on an adventure to find a lost star, doing different voices for each character. Bella giggled at the funny parts and gasped at the exciting ones. When the story ended, Bella yawned and snuggled deeper into her blankets. That was the best story ever. I'm glad you liked it. Will you be here when I wake up? I'll be here, Candace promised. I live here now, remember? Good. Bella's eyes were already drooping. I love you, Miss Candace. The words pierced Candace's heart. I'll see you in the morning, sweet girl. Nicholas kissed his daughter's forehead and turned off the main light, leaving only the night light glowing. He and Candace stepped out into the hallway, closing the door quietly behind them. Thank you, he said. She hasn't fallen asleep that easily in months. She's wonderful. You've done a great job with her. I've tried. It hasn't always been enough. He walked her downstairs and toward the side door. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be a busy day getting you settled. Nicholas. Candace stopped him before he could leave. Why did you really hire me? And please be honest. He was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. Because when Bella looked at you, she smiled the way she used to smile at her mother. And because you needed help, and I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do in this life is help someone when you have the ability to do so. My wife always said that kindness creates kindness. I'm hoping she was right. Candace felt tears threatening again. She was right. And I'll make sure Bella knows that too. I believe you will. Good night, Candace. Good night. She walked back to the guest house in the darkness, the pathway lit by small solar lights. Inside her new home, she sat on the couch and finally let herself cry. But these weren't tears of despair or fear. These were tears of gratitude, of relief, of hope. She pulled out the check Nicholas had given her and stared at it. Tomorrow she would deposit it and pay her back rent. She would retrieve her belongings from the apartment she was losing. She would start her new life. But tonight, she would just sit in this beautiful space and let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. Candace woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, she panicked, not recognizing where she was. Then memory flooded back. The mall, Bella, Nicholas, the job offer. She sat up in the comfortable bed and looked around the cottage that was now her home. It was 7 in the morning. She'd slept better than she had in months, probably because for the first time in a long time, she wasn't worried about where she'd be sleeping the next night. Her phone buzzed with a text from Nicholas. Good morning. Bella has school at 8:30. Can you handle drop-off today? Address is in the folder on your kitchen counter. Candace quickly texted back. Yes, I'll be ready. She showered and dressed in her least wrinkled clothes, making a mental note that she needed to pick up her things from the apartment today. When she walked to the main house, she found Bella already at the kitchen table eating breakfast while Mrs. Chen packed her lunch. Miss Candace, Bella squealed, running over for a hug. You're really here. I thought maybe I dreamed it. I'm really here, Candace assured her. Good morning, Mrs. Chen. Good morning, dear. Coffee? Breakfast? Coffee would be wonderful, thank you. Nicholas appeared in a navy suit, looking every bit the successful businessman. Morning. Bella's school is about 15 minutes from here. I've arranged for you to use the second car. He held up a set of keys. It's the silver sedan in the garage. You have a car I can use? It was my wife's. It's just been sitting there. You might as well put it to use. Candace took the keys, noting the Mercedes emblem. Are you sure? Positive. There's a GPS built in, but the school address is already programmed. Just follow the directions. Bella finished her breakfast and grabbed her backpack, a bright red one covered in cartoon characters. Ready, Miss Candace? The drive to school was filled with Bella's chatter about her teacher, Miss Anderson, and her best friend, Sophie, and how they were learning about butterflies in science. Candace listened, asking questions and laughing at Bella's animated descriptions. The school was a beautiful building with colorful murals on the walls. Candace walked Bella to her classroom, where other parents were dropping off their children. Miss Candace, Bella whispered, can you pick me up after school too? Of course. What time? 3 o'clock. Right here. I'll be here. Bella hugged her tightly before running into the classroom. Candace watched through the doorway as Bella joined a group of girls at a table, already chattering about something excitedly. On the drive back, Candace called her old landlord and arranged to drop off a check for the back rent. The man sounded surprised but pleased. She also called the utility company and paid her outstanding balance over the phone using Nicholas's check, which she'd deposited through her bank's mobile app early that morning. Back at the estate, Nicholas was still home, working in his office. He called her in when he saw her pass by. How did drop-off go? Perfectly. She's a great kid. She is. He glanced at his computer screen. I'm going to be at meetings most of the day. Mrs. Chen will be here if you need anything. Feel free to explore the property, use the gym in the basement, whatever you'd like. Actually, I was hoping to pick up my things from my apartment today. Would that be okay? Of course. Take the car. Do you need help moving? I don't have much. I can manage. Are you sure? I can have my assistant send someone. Candace shook her head. I'd rather do it myself if that's okay. Nicholas studied her for a moment. You're very independent. I've had to be. I respect that. But remember, you're part of a team now. It's okay to ask for help. I'll remember that. Thank you. At the apartment, Candace found the eviction notice still taped to the door. She pulled it down and crumpled it, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Inside, the space looked even smaller and shabbier than she remembered. Had she really lived here for 2 years? She packed her clothes, books, photos of her parents and brother, and a few other personal items. Everything fit in 3 suitcases and 2 boxes. The furniture stayed as it had come with the apartment. Her landlord met her as she was loading the last box into the car. He was a heavy-set man with a permanent scowl, but today he looked almost friendly. Got a new job, I hear? He said. Yes, sir. I'm very fortunate. Good for you. And thanks for settling up. Not many folks do the right thing when they're in a tight spot. Candace drove back to the estate feeling lighter. She unpacked methodically, hanging her modest wardrobe in the spacious closet, arranging her books on the shelves, placing her family photos on the dresser. The cottage began to feel like hers. That afternoon she picked up Bella from school. The little girl's face lit up when she saw Candace waiting by the classroom door. You came, Bella said, as if there had been any doubt. I said I would. On the drive home, Bella talked about her day. She'd gotten a star on her spelling test and learned about monarch butterflies. She and Sophie had played on the swings at recess. Can we go to the park? Bella asked. There's one near our house with really good swings. If your dad says it's okay. They stopped at the main house to ask Nicholas, who was back from his meetings and changing out of his suit into more casual clothes. The park is fine, he said. I'll join you. The three of them walked to a nearby park, Bella running ahead and then circling back to grab both their hands. At the park, Nicholas pushed Bella on the swings while Candace sat on a bench nearby, watching them laugh together. A woman on the next bench leaned over. Your family is beautiful. Candace opened her mouth to correct her, but the woman had already turned back to watching her own children. She let the assumption stand, surprised by how much she liked the sound of it. Later, after Bella's homework was done and she was bathed and in her pajamas, Candace read her another story. This time it was about a brave princess who saved herself instead of waiting for a prince. I like that she was brave, Bella said sleepily. Are you brave, Miss Candace? Sometimes. When I have to be. I think you're always brave. You were brave today. How was I brave today? You smiled even though you were sad. Candace's breath caught. What makes you think I was sad? Your eyes. They get a little bit sad sometimes. Like Daddy's eyes. But then you smile anyway, and that's brave. Out of the mouths of children. Candace smoothed Bella's hair back from her forehead. You're a very smart girl, you know that? I know. Daddy tells me all the time. After Bella fell asleep, Candace found Nicholas in the living room, reading reports on his tablet. He looked up when she entered. She go down okay? Out like a light. She's exhausted. She had a big day. They're doing a field trip to the aquarium next week. She's very excited. She told me. She wants to see the jellyfish. Nicholas smiled. She's been talking about nothing else. He set down his tablet. How are you settling in? Is the cottage comfortable? It's perfect. More than I expected. Good. And your apartment situation? All settled. I paid the back rent and picked up my things. It feels good to have that behind me. I'm glad. He hesitated, then added, I know this is all happening very fast. If you need time to adjust or if you have concerns, please tell me. Actually, I wanted to thank you again. You've been incredibly generous and I promise I'll work hard to deserve it. You already do. Bella's happier than she's been in a long time. That's worth everything to me. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Nicholas said, She told me you were brave today. She said the same thing to me. I'm not sure what she meant. I think she meant you keep going even when things are hard. That's the definition of brave, isn't it? Candace thought about that. Maybe. I never really thought about it that way. Well, I agree with my daughter. You're brave. And I'm grateful you're here. That night, lying in her comfortable bed in the cottage, Candace thought about how much her life had changed in just 24 hours. Yesterday she'd been desperate and alone, counting her last $47. Today she had a home, a job, and people who seemed to genuinely care about her well-being. She thought about what Bella had said. That she smiled even when she was sad. That she was brave. Maybe she was. Maybe surviving was its own form of bravery. She fell asleep thinking about butterflies and brave princesses and little girls with wise eyes who saw more than adults realized. The next 3 weeks passed in a comfortable rhythm. Candace woke each morning, had coffee with Mrs. Chen while Bella ate breakfast, then drove Bella to school. She used the mornings to run errands, work out in the gym, or simply read in the cottage. At 3 o'clock she picked up Bella, helped with homework, and supervised playtime. Nicholas often joined them for dinner, and Candace found herself looking forward to those evenings. He was easy to talk to, intelligent and funny, with a dry sense of humor that surprised her. He asked about her day, genuinely interested in her answers, and shared stories about his own work that made the world of real estate development sound fascinating. How did you get into this business? Candace asked one evening while Bella played with blocks on the living room floor. My father was a contractor. I grew up on construction sites learning the trade. When I went to college, I studied business and architecture. After graduation, I started small, renovating old buildings. One project led to another, and eventually I was developing new properties instead of just fixing old ones. He smiled. It's rewarding work, creating spaces where people live and work and build their lives. Do you still go to construction sites? Not as much as I'd like. These days I'm mostly in meetings and reviewing plans. But occasionally I'll visit a project, put on a hard hat, and remember why I love this work. Bella looked up from her blocks. Daddy took me to see a building once. It was so tall I couldn't see the top. That was the Morrison Tower, Nicholas explained. 35 floors. One of my favorite projects. Can you take Miss Candace to see it? Bella asked. Nicholas glanced at Candace. Would you like that? I'd love to see your work. Then we'll make it happen. A few days later, on a Saturday morning, Nicholas drove them into the city. The Morrison Tower was impressive, a sleek glass structure that reflected the sky. Nicholas gave them a tour, showing Candace the lobby with its marble floors and modern art installations, then taking them up to the observation deck on the top floor. "The city looks so small from up here," Candace said, gazing out at the sprawl below. "That's why I love this view. It puts things in perspective. Whatever problems you're dealing with seems smaller when you're looking at the whole picture." Bella pressed her nose against the glass. "I can see our house. Well, kind of. It's over there somewhere." They spent the afternoon exploring the city, stopping for lunch at a cafe Bella loved, then visiting a museum with a special exhibit on dinosaurs. Candace watched Nicholas with his daughter, seeing how patient he was with her endless questions, how he got down on her level to explain things, how he never seemed annoyed by her enthusiasm. "You're a good father," she told him while Bella was examining a T-Rex skeleton. "I try. Some days are harder than others." "She adores you. The feeling is mutual." He was quiet for a moment. Her mother was the truly gifted parent. She knew instinctively what Bella needed, how to comfort her, how to challenge her. "I'm still figuring it out. I think you're doing better than you realize." "Maybe. But I know I'm doing better since you arrived." "Bella's more settled, happier." "That's because of you." Candace felt her cheeks warm. "I care about her. She's easy to love." "Yes, she is." The following week, Nicholas had to fly to another city for a business meeting. He'd be gone for 2 nights. Candace assured him she could handle everything, and she did, maintaining Bella's routine without any problems. But she was surprised by how much she missed having Nicholas around, missed their dinner conversations and the way he'd check in on how her day went. When he returned, he brought presents: a stuffed dolphin for Bella and a beautiful scarf for Candace. "You didn't have to get me anything," Candace said, running her fingers over the soft fabric. It was a gorgeous blue-green color that reminded her of the ocean. "I wanted to. I saw it and thought of you." "Thank you. It's beautiful." That night, after Bella was asleep, Nicholas asked if Candace wanted to have a glass of wine with him on the back patio. The evening was mild for late winter, and the outdoor heaters made it comfortable. They sat in cushioned chairs, looking out at the dark garden with its subtle lighting illuminating the paths. "I got an interesting call today," Nicholas said. "From Bella's teacher." Candace sat up straighter, worried. "Is something wrong?" "Actually, the opposite. Miss Anderson said Bella's been much more engaged in class lately, more confident. She wanted to know what had changed at home." "What did you tell her?" "That we hired a nanny who Bella connected with. She asked if you'd be interested in volunteering for the class field trip next week." "To the aquarium?" "Bella mentioned it. I'd love to go." "Good. I think Bella would like having you there." He sipped his wine. "You've been here almost a month now. How are you feeling about everything?" "Honestly? Like I'm living someone else's life. A better life than I ever imagined having." "It's your life now. You've earned it." "Have I though? I take care of one wonderful child, live in a beautiful cottage and get paid more than I've ever made. Sometimes I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop." "There is no other shoe," Nicholas said firmly. "You're good at your job, Bella loves you, and you've become part of this household. That's not going to change." Candace wanted to believe him. "Thank you for saying that. I mean it. And I hope you know that I see how hard you work, how dedicated you are. It doesn't go unnoticed." They sat in comfortable silence, the night air cool but not cold, the wine warming her from the inside. Candace thought about how natural this felt, sitting with Nicholas talking about their days. She'd never had this with anyone before, this easy companionship. "Can I ask you something personal?" she said. "Of course. Do you ever think about dating again? I mean, I know you lost your wife and that's terrible, but you're young and successful and, well, Bella mentioned once that her grandmother keeps trying to set you up." Nicholas laughed. "My mother is relentless. She's convinced I need to remarry, for Bella's sake if not my own. She sends me profiles of daughters of her friends, arranges accidental meetings at family gatherings." "Has anything come of it?" "No. I've gone on a few dates over the past year, mostly to appease my mother, but nothing clicked. I don't know if I'm ready or if I'm just too busy or if I'm still—" He trailed off. "Still grieving? Maybe. Or maybe I just haven't met the right person." He looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. "What about you? Anyone special in your life?" Candace shook her head. "I haven't had time for dating. Between taking care of my brother and working multiple jobs, relationships weren't really an option. And honestly, I've never been good at it. I tend to choose the wrong people." "How so?" "Men who need fixing, who have big dreams but no follow-through. I always think I can help them, save them somehow. It never works out. Sounds exhausting. It was. That's why I stopped trying. Well, maybe now that your life is more stable, you'll have time to meet someone worth your time. The thought made Candace unexpectedly sad. She wasn't sure why. Maybe, she said non-committally. They finished their wine and said goodnight. As Candace walked back to the cottage, she realized she didn't want to meet anyone. She was happy here with this life, with Bella and Nicholas and even Mrs. Chen. She didn't need anything else. Or so she told herself. The aquarium field trip was a success. Candace rode the bus with Bella's class, helping to keep 20 excited 6-year-olds organized and safe. Bella held her hand the entire time, proudly introducing her to Sophie and the other children as, "My Miss Candace." They watched the jellyfish float through the water, their translucent bodies glowing under the special lights. Bella was mesmerized, pressing her face against the glass. "They're so beautiful," she whispered. "How do they glow like that?" Candace read the information placard. "It says some jellyfish have special proteins that make light. It's called bioluminescence." Bioluminescence, Bella repeated carefully. "I'm going to tell Daddy that word." Later they watched the dolphin show, and Bella cheered so loudly that other parents smiled. On the bus ride back, Bella fell asleep with her head on Candace's shoulder, exhausted but happy. That evening, Nicholas came home early from work, a rare occurrence. He found Candace and Bella in the kitchen making cookies, flour dusting their clothes and laughter filling the air. "Something smells good," he said, loosening his tie. "Chocolate chip cookies," Bella announced. "Miss Candace is teaching me how to bake." "Is she now?" "She's a very good student," Candace said, smiling. "We're on our third batch." Nicholas grabbed a warm cookie from the cooling rack. "These are delicious. You'll have to teach me too." "Really?" Bella's eyes widened. "You want to bake with us?" "Why not? I think I can handle mixing cookie dough." So Nicholas changed into jeans and a casual red shirt and joined them in the kitchen. He was terrible at measuring ingredients, adding too much flour and then too much butter to compensate. Candace laughed as she tried to salvage the dough while Bella giggled at her father's mistakes. "I'm better with blueprints than recipes," Nicholas admitted. "Clearly," Candace teased. "Here, let me show you." She stood next to him at the counter, guiding his hands as he measured the sugar. She was acutely aware of how close they were, how warm his arm felt against hers, how good he smelled, like clean soap, and something else, something distinctly him. Nicholas seemed to notice too. He glanced down at her and their eyes met. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Bella called out that the timer was beeping and the moment passed. But something had shifted. Candace felt it even if she couldn't name it. Over the next few weeks, Nicholas found more reasons to come home early, to join them for activities, to be around. He helped with Bella's homework, played board games after dinner, and even joined them on their daily walks through the garden. One Saturday he suggested they all go to the beach. It was early spring, still too cold for swimming, but perfect for walking along the shore. They drove to a quiet stretch of coastline, the ocean stretching endlessly before them. Bella ran ahead, collecting shells and squealing when the waves came close to her feet. Candace and Nicholas walked behind her, keeping her in sight but giving her space to explore. "She's going to sleep well tonight," Nicholas said, watching his daughter's energetic antics. "She has so much energy. I don't know where she gets it. Her mother was like that. Always moving, always doing something. She couldn't sit still." It was rare for Nicholas to mention his late wife. Candace glanced at him. What was she like? Isabel was bright and funny and incredibly kind. She lit up every room she entered. Everyone loved her. He paused, looking out at the ocean. "Losing her was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Watching her get sick, knowing there was nothing I could do. I'm so sorry." "Thank you. It's been 2 years and most days I'm okay. But sometimes it hits me that she's gone and she'll never see Bella grow up, and it feels unbearable." Candace didn't know what to say, so she just walked beside him, offering silent support. "But then I see Bella laughing and happy," Nicholas continued, "and I remember that Isabel would want that. She'd want us to keep living, to find joy where we can. That's what you've given us, Candace. Joy." Her throat tightened. "I'm glad I can do that." He reached over and took her hand, squeezing gently. "So am I." They walked hand in hand for a while, watching Bella play. It felt natural, right? When Bella ran back to show them a particularly beautiful shell, Nicholas released Candace's hand, but the warmth of his touch lingered. The following week, Nicholas's car wouldn't start, so Candace offered to drive him to an important meeting. He accepted, and she found herself navigating downtown traffic while he reviewed notes on his tablet. Take the next left, he directed. The building is the tall one with the green roof. She pulled up to the curb and he gathered his things. Before getting out, he turned to her. Thank you for this. I would have called a car service, but this was nicer. Anytime. Good luck with your meeting. He smiled. Have dinner with me tonight. Just the two of us. I'll have my mother come watch Bella. Candace's heart skipped. Like a date? If you want it to be. She should say no. She worked for him. This could complicate everything. But when she looked into his eyes, she couldn't bring herself to refuse. Yes, she said. I'd like that. His smile widened. 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up at the cottage. He got out of the car and Candace watched him walk into the building, her mind racing. A date? With Nicholas? How had this happened? That evening she changed clothes 3 times before settling on a simple green dress she'd bought years ago but rarely wore. It was the nicest thing she owned. She brushed out her hair, letting it fall in soft waves around her shoulders, and applied light makeup. When Nicholas knocked on her door at 7, his expression made all her nervous preparation worth it. You look beautiful, he said. Thank you. You look nice too. He wore dark slacks and a blue shirt that brought out his eyes. He offered his arm and she took it, feeling like she was in a dream. They drove to a restaurant overlooking the harbor, a quiet place with candlelit tables and soft music. Nicholas had reserved a table by the window, with a view of boats bobbing in the water. This is lovely, Candace said. I hoped you'd like it. It's one of my favorite places. They ordered wine and appetizers and the conversation flowed easily. Nicholas asked about her childhood, her parents, her brother. She told him stories about growing up, about the struggles after her parents died, about working 3 jobs to support Tyler's education. He must be very grateful, Nicholas said. He is. He calls every week to check on me. He doesn't know about this job yet. I haven't told him how much my life has changed. Why not? I guess I'm still afraid it won't last. That I'll wake up and find out it was all too good to be true. Nicholas reached across the table and took her hand. It's real, Candace. This job, this life, this moment right now. It's all real. She looked down at their joined hands. And this? What is this? I don't know exactly. But I know I enjoy spending time with you. I know that you make me laugh and you make me think and you make me want to come home early just to see you. If that's wrong, given our professional relationship, tell me now and we can forget this ever happened. Candace's heart was pounding. It's not wrong. I feel the same way. Then let's see where this goes. No pressure, no expectations. Just 2 people getting to know each other better. Okay, she whispered. They talked for hours, long after their food arrived and they'd finished eating. They talked about everything and nothing, discovering shared interests and debating different viewpoints, laughing at stories and serious in their deeper discussions. When Nicholas drove her home, he walked her to the cottage door. The night air was cool, but Candace felt warm, energized by the evening. Thank you for tonight, she said. I had a wonderful time. So did I. Can we do this again? I'd like that. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. She didn't. His lips met hers in a soft, gentle kiss that made her head spin. When they pulled apart, he smiled. Good night, Candace. Good night, Nicholas. She went inside and leaned against the closed door, her fingers touching her lips. This was happening. She was falling for her boss, for Bella's father, for a man who seemed too good to be true. And for once, she was going to let herself enjoy it. The next few weeks were a careful dance. Nicholas and Candace continued seeing each other, going on quiet dates when his mother could watch Bella, stealing moments together in the garden after Bella went to sleep. They were careful not to be too obvious around Bella, not wanting to confuse or upset her. But Bella, perceptive as always, noticed everything. One afternoon, while Candace was helping her with homework, Bella looked up from her math worksheet. Miss Candace, do you like my daddy? Candace's pencil froze mid-air. Of course I like your daddy. He's a good man. No, I mean, do you like him? Like in a boyfriend way? Bella? Because I think he likes you. He smiles more when you're around. And he always asks what you're doing. Candace set down the pencil, unsure how to handle this. Your daddy and I are friends. Good friends. But you could be more than friends. You could be his girlfriend. Then you could be my mommy. The hope in Bella's voice broke Candace's heart. Sweetheart, it's not that simple. Why not? You live here. You take care of me. You make daddy happy. That's what mommies do, right? Bella, your daddy loved your mother very much. No one can replace her. I'm not trying to replace her, Bella said seriously. I still love my mommy. But she's in heaven and you're here and I love you too. Can't I love both? Tears pricked Candace's eyes. Yes, you absolutely can love both. And I love you too so much. Then what's the problem? There's no problem, baby. Your daddy and I just need to take things slowly. We need to make sure we're doing what's right for everyone, especially you. Bella seemed to accept this, but Candace could see the wheels turning in her mind. She had the distinct feeling Bella was planning something. She was right. The following Saturday, Bella asked if they could play hide and seek in the garden. It was a beautiful spring day, perfect for being outside. Nicholas was working in his office but agreed to take a break and join them. I'll count first, Bella announced. Close your eyes and count to 50. Candace and Nicholas dutifully closed their eyes while Bella counted loudly. When she reached 50, they scattered to find hiding spots. Candace found a spot behind a large hedge near the garden shed. She crouched down, trying to stay quiet, listening for Bella's footsteps. Found you, Daddy, she heard Bella call out from somewhere near the pool. Then nothing. Minutes passed. Candace started to wonder if Bella had forgotten about her. Bella, she called out. Did you find me? No answer. She stood up and walked around the hedge looking for the little girl. That's when she heard Nicholas calling Bella's name too. Did she find you? Candace asked when she met up with Nicholas near the fountain. Yeah, a few minutes ago. She told me to wait for her by the shed. But she never came back. They walked to the shed together, both starting to worry. Bella, Nicholas called. Game's over, honey. Come out. I'm in here, came Bella's voice from inside the shed. Nicholas tried the door. It was locked. Bella, why is the door locked? It locked by accident. I can't get out. Stand back. I'll open it. Nicholas pulled on the door but it wouldn't budge. He examined the lock. This is locked from the outside. Bella, did you lock us out? Maybe, came the small voice. Bella Romano, open this door right now. I can't. The key is in the house. Nicholas and Candace looked at each other. Understanding dawned on both their faces. You locked us in on purpose, Candace said. Maybe, Bella repeated. You need to talk. I'm helping. Nicholas ran a hand through his hair. Bella, this is not okay. We're not playing anymore. Go get the key. Not until you talk to Miss Candace about being boyfriend and girlfriend. Candace covered her mouth to hide her smile. Nicholas looked equal parts frustrated and amused. How long have you been planning this? He asked. A week. Sophie helped me. She said her mom locked her dad in the garage once when they were fighting, and they came out all happy again. I figured it would work for making you happy too. We're already happy, baby, Nicholas said. But you'd be happier if you stopped pretending you're just friends. Nicholas looked at Candace. She's not wrong. No, she's not. They were standing close together in front of the shed door, close enough that Candace could feel the warmth radiating from him. The garden was beautiful around them, flowers beginning to bloom, the afternoon sun making everything glow. We've been careful, Nicholas said quietly. Not wanting to rush things, not wanting to complicate the situation with work. I know. But I think we're past that point, don't you? Candace's heart raced. What are you saying? I'm saying that I have feelings for you. Real feelings. And I'm tired of pretending I don't. I have feelings for you too, she admitted. I tried to keep things professional, but you can't help who you fall for. No, she whispered. You can't. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing her cheeks. Then let's stop fighting it. Let's see where this goes. What about Bella? What about your work and my job and all the complicated things? We'll figure it out. Together. He kissed her then, slow and sweet, and Candace felt something inside her shift and settle into place. This was right. This was where she was supposed to be. When they pulled apart, they heard clapping from inside the shed. Finally, Bella called out. Now can you kiss again? Sophie says that's what boyfriends and girlfriends do. Nicholas laughed. How about instead you go get that key? Okay. But you have to promise to be girlfriend and boyfriend for real. We promise, Candace said, unable to keep the smile off her face. They heard Bella's footsteps running toward the house. Nicholas pulled Candace close, wrapping his arms around her. Our daughter is quite the matchmaker, he said. Your daughter, Candace corrected gently. Our daughter, Nicholas repeated firmly. If you'll have us, both of us. Candace rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I already have you. Both of you. They stood there in the garden, holding each other until Bella returned with the key and let them out. She immediately hugged both of them, squealing with delight. I knew it, she said. I knew you were perfect for each other. I'm the best matchmaker ever. Yes, you are, Nicholas agreed, ruffling her hair. But no more locking people in sheds, understood? Understood. But it worked, didn't it? Candace laughed. Yes, it worked. That night, after Bella was asleep, Nicholas and Candace sat on the patio again, this time holding hands openly. I want you to know, Nicholas said, that I'm serious about this. About you. It's not just about convenience or gratitude or any of the practical reasons people might think. I know. I feel the same way. And I know we're doing this backwards, that we probably should have dated before you moved in and started taking care of my daughter, but life doesn't always happen in the right order, Candace finished. And maybe this was the right order for us. Maybe it was. He kissed her hand. I'm falling in love with you, Candace Monroe. Her breath caught. I'm falling in love with you too, Nicholas Romano. They sat under the stars, planning their future, talking about what this meant for them, for Bella, for their unconventional little family. And for the first time in years, Candace felt completely at peace. Spring turned to summer, and with it, Candace's relationship with Nicholas deepened. They were careful to maintain appropriate boundaries around Bella, but the little girl had already decided Candace was going to be her new mother, and nothing they said could convince her otherwise. Nicholas's mother, Elena Romano, came for Sunday dinner one evening. Candace was nervous about meeting her, but Elena was warm and welcoming, if a bit direct. So you're the woman who's made my son smile again, Elena said, looking Candace over with sharp but kind eyes. I hope so, Candace replied. And my granddaughter adores you. The feeling is mutual. Good. That's what matters. Elena patted Candace's hand. I don't care about your background or where you came from. I care that you're good to my family. Are you good to my family? I try to be. Then we'll get along just fine. Dinner was pleasant, filled with laughter and stories. Elena regaled them with tales of Nicholas as a child, much to his embarrassment and Bella's delight. After Elena left, Nicholas found Candace in the cottage. I'm sorry if my mother was intense. She wasn't. She was protective. I respect that. She liked you. I could tell. How could you tell? She didn't suggest I date anyone else. That's her highest compliment. Candace laughed. I'll take it. Nicholas pulled her into his arms. Come to the charity gala with me next month. As my date officially. That's very public. I know. But I'm tired of hiding how I feel about you. I want people to know you're important to me. What about Bella? Will she be okay with us being so open? She'll probably throw a party. You know how she feels about this. Candace did know. Bella had been asking when Candace was going to officially be her mommy, and it was getting harder to explain why things took time. The gala was 3 weeks away. Candace had nothing appropriate to wear, so Nicholas insisted on taking her shopping. He brought Bella along, making it a family outing. At the boutique, Bella helped Candace pick out dresses to try on, offering opinions on each one. Too boring, she said to a black dress. Too sparkly, to a silver one. Perfect, to a deep blue gown that hugged Candace's curves and flowed like water when she walked. Nicholas agreed. When Candace stepped out of the dressing room, his expression made her feel beautiful. That's the one, he said quietly. The night of the gala, Candace felt like she was in a dream. The event was held at a historic hotel, with a grand ballroom and hundreds of guests in formal wear. Nicholas introduced her to business associates, friends and colleagues, always with his hand at the small of her back, always making it clear she was with him. They danced together, swaying to soft music, surrounded by glittering chandeliers and elegant decorations. Having fun? Nicholas asked. More than I expected. Though I keep thinking someone's going to ask what I do, and I'll have to explain that I'm your daughter's nanny. You're not just Bella's nanny. You're my girlfriend. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can talk to me. His fierce protectiveness made her smile. I love you. I love you too. That night marked a shift. They were a couple now, openly and officially. And it felt right. A few weeks later, Candace's brother Tyler came to visit. He was on summer break from college and wanted to see where his sister had ended up. Tyler was tall and lanky with the same warm brown eyes as Candace. When he arrived at the estate, his jaw dropped. You live here? He asked, staring at the main house. I live in the cottage, Candace corrected. But yeah, this is where I work. And you're dating your boss? The billionaire. It's more complicated than that. It better be because this sounds like a rom-com plot. Candace laughed and introduced Tyler to Bella, who immediately attached herself to him, asking a million questions about college. That evening, Nicholas invited Tyler to join them for dinner. The conversation was easy, with Tyler sharing stories about his studies in engineering and his plans for the future. "Your sister has told me a lot about you," Nicholas said. "She's very proud." "She's the one who made it all possible," Tyler said. "She worked 3 jobs to pay for my tuition. I owe her everything." "You don't owe me anything," Candace said quickly. "I wanted to help. And now I want to help you," Tyler said. "I got a scholarship for next year. Full ride. Which means you don't have to send me money anymore." Candace's eyes filled with tears. "Tyler, that's wonderful. There's more. I also got an internship for the summer. So I'm completely self-sufficient now." He grinned. "Which means you can stop worrying about me and focus on your own life for once." Nicholas had been quiet, listening. Now he spoke up. "Actually, I was hoping to help with your education anyway. If you'll let me." Tyler frowned. "What do you mean?" "Your sister mentioned you'd need to take out loans for grad school. I'd like to cover those costs. Consider it a gift." Tyler looked at Candace, then back at Nicholas. "That's incredibly generous, but I can't accept." "Please," Candace said, reaching over to squeeze her brother's hand. "Let him help. It would make me happy." "It would make us both happy," Nicholas added. "Your sister has given Bella and me so much. This is a small way to give back." Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Okay. But only if I can pay you back someday." "No need. Just do something good with your education. That's payment enough." After dinner, Tyler pulled Candace aside. "He really loves you, doesn't he?" "I think so. I know so. I can see it in the way he looks at you. And Bella clearly thinks you hung the moon." He hugged his sister tightly. "You deserve this, Candace. You deserve to be happy." "Thank you, Tyler. That means a lot." The summer passed in a blur of happiness. Beach trips with Bella, quiet dinners with Nicholas, family gatherings with Elena and extended relatives. Candace felt more settled than she ever had, more loved, more complete. One evening in late August, Nicholas asked her to take a walk with him in the garden. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. "There's something I want to talk to you about," he said, sounding nervous. "Okay. We've been together for 6 months now. And they've been the best 6 months of my life since Isabel died." Candace's heart started pounding. "They've been wonderful for me too. I know we moved fast. I know this whole situation is unconventional. But I also know that what we have is real and rare and worth fighting for." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "I love you, Candace. And I want to build a future with you. I want that too. Then let's make it official. Move into the main house with us. Not as Bella's nanny but as my partner. As part of this family." Tears streamed down Candace's face. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." She threw her arms around his neck. Yes, I'll move in. I love you so much." He kissed her long and deep, and Candace felt her heart swell with joy. This was her family now. This was her home. Are you feeling the love? Sometimes the best things in life come when we least expect them. If this story is touching your heart, please subscribe and comment below with your thoughts on Candace's journey. Have you ever had a moment that changed your life completely? 6 months later, in February, Candace prepared for what she thought would be a normal Saturday. Nicholas had suggested they all go to the mall, the same one where Bella had first found her over a year ago. "Why the mall?" Candace asked as they drove. "I want to pick up something from the jewelry store," Nicholas said casually. "We could have done that closer to home." "This mall has sentimental value," he said with a mysterious smile. Bella was unusually quiet in the back seat, and when Candace glanced back, she saw the little girl grinning with barely contained excitement. At the mall, Nicholas led them to the exact spot where Bella had first approached Candace. The fountain was still there, still bubbling cheerfully. "Do you remember this place?" Nicholas asked. "Of course. This is where I met Bella. Where my whole life changed." "Good. I wanted you to remember." Then he got down on one knee. Candace's hands flew to her mouth. "Nicholas. Candace Monroe, you came into our lives when we needed you most. You brought light and laughter and love back into our home. You've been a mother to my daughter, a partner to me, and a blessing to our entire family. I can't imagine my life without you, and I don't want to try." He pulled out a ring, a beautiful diamond that sparkled under the mall lights. "Will you marry me?" Before Candace could answer, Bella ran up holding a poster board. She turned it around to show large, colorful letters that read, "Will you be my mommy?" Candace was crying so hard she could barely see, but she managed to nod and say, "Yes. Yes to both of you." Nicholas slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss while Bella jumped up and down, cheering. Around them, mall shoppers had stopped to watch and a few started clapping. But Candace barely noticed them. She was focused on Nicholas's face, on Bella's joy, on this perfect moment that she'd never dreamed possible. Then she heard a voice. Nicholas. They all turned to see a woman approaching. She was beautiful, with dark hair and Bella's same brown eyes. Candace's heart stopped. Teresa, Nicholas said, sounding surprised but not unhappy. You made it. The woman smiled. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Candace looked between them, confused and starting to panic. The woman looked so much like the photos Candace had seen of Isabel. Was this his late wife's sister? What was happening? Nicholas must have seen the fear on Candace's face because he quickly made introductions. Candace, this is Teresa Santos, Isabel's sister. She lives in Spain but flew in for this. Teresa, this is Candace, my fiancée. Teresa hugged Candace warmly. I'm so happy to meet you. Nicholas has told me so much about you, and Bella talks about you constantly in our video calls. I didn't know. Candace started. I asked her to be here, Nicholas explained. I wanted Isabel's family to be part of this moment, to show that we're not trying to replace anyone but rather expanding our family with love. Teresa took Candace's hands in hers. My sister would have loved you. She would have been so grateful that someone is taking care of her daughter and making Nicholas happy again. Please don't ever think you're replacing her. You're honoring her memory by loving her family. Candace couldn't stop crying. Thank you. That means everything. More family members appeared. Elena with Nicholas's father and siblings, Tyler who'd flown in from college, and several of Nicholas's close friends. They'd all been waiting nearby, ready to celebrate once Candace said yes. There were hugs and congratulations, champagne toasts in the mall food court, and laughter echoing through the corridors. Bella held Candace's hand the entire time, beaming with pride. I told you she was the one, Bella said to anyone who would listen. I knew it from the very first moment. That evening, back at the estate, after all the guests had left and Bella was finally asleep, Candace and Nicholas sat in the garden under the stars. Today was perfect, Candace said, looking at her ring. Though you really scared me when Teresa showed up. I'm sorry about that. I wanted it to be a surprise, but I should have warned you. It's okay. It ended up being exactly right. She leaned against him. I can't believe this is my life. A year ago I was desperate and alone. Now I have everything I could ever want. We have everything we could ever want, Nicholas corrected. You, me, Bella. This is our family. Our family, Candace repeated, loving the sound of it. 3 months later they were married in the garden at sunset. Candace wore a simple white dress, elegant and understated. Bella was her flower girl, wearing a beautiful maroon dress and carrying a basket of rose petals. Tyler walked Candace down the aisle, whispering, Mom and Dad would be so proud of you. The ceremony was small and intimate, just close family and friends. Teresa gave a reading about love and new beginnings. Elena cried happy tears. And when Nicholas and Candace exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other, there wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Bella had insisted on adding her own vows. When it was her turn, she stood between them and said solemnly, I promise to be the best daughter ever. And I promise to remember my first mommy while loving my new mommy with my whole heart. And I promise to always tell the truth, except when planning surprise parties. Everyone laughed and Candace pulled Bella into a hug, unable to speak through her tears. The reception was joyful, with dancing and toasts and a cake that Bella helped decorate, which explained the abundance of rainbow sprinkles. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Candace found a quiet moment alone with Nicholas. Thank you, she said. For what? For seeing me that day in the mall. For taking a chance on me. For loving me. I should be thanking you. You saved us, Candace. Both of us. We saved each other, she said softly. They danced together under the fairy lights strung through the garden, swaying to soft music, surrounded by the people they loved. Later, as they were saying goodnight to the last guests, Bella ran up to them, still full of energy despite the late hour. Are you happy? She asked Candace. Happier than I ever thought possible. Good. Because I told Daddy you were the one, remember? I'm never wrong about these things. No, Candace agreed, hugging her daughter close. You're never wrong. That night, after Bella was finally asleep in her room, Candace stood in the master bedroom she now shared with Nicholas. She looked at her wedding ring, at the photos on the dresser that now included pictures of their new family, at the life she'd built from nothing. Nicholas came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? About how much can change in a year. About how I almost gave up that day at the mall. About how grateful I am that Bella found me. She did find you, didn't she? She always said it was meant to be. Maybe it was. Maybe sometimes you have to lose everything to find what you were always supposed to have. I like that, Nicholas said, kissing her temple. And I like that we get to spend the rest of our lives figuring out what else we're supposed to have. Together. Always together. Candace turned in his arms and kissed him, feeling the love that flowed between them, the certainty that this was real and lasting and true. 1 year ago she'd been sitting on a bench in a mall, counting her last $47 and wondering how she'd survive. Now she stood in a beautiful home, married to a man she loved deeply, raising a daughter who'd chosen her just as much as she'd chosen them. Sometimes life worked out in ways you could never predict. Sometimes kindness led to more kindness. Sometimes love found you in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, a little girl with bright eyes and a big heart knew exactly what her father needed, even before he did. That night, as Candace drifted off to sleep in Nicholas's arms, she thought about Bella's words from that first day, "You have kind eyes." She'd been broken and desperate and barely holding on. But Bella had seen past all of that to the person underneath. The person who could love and be loved. The person who deserved a second chance. And what a glorious second chance it had turned out to be.